Hi there, friends, and welcome. Well, every time I've looked in the mirror recently, I seem to notice deeper and darker under eye circles. Can anyone else relate to this? So when I came across an article in InStyle titled, "After Testing Dozens on Stubborn Under Eye Circles, Editors Found the 11 Best Color Correctors," it drew my attention like a magnet pulling a paper clip. So right then and there, I determined to do some testing myself to see just how well these color correctors work on mature skin. So today, I'm staging a showdown between a number of drugstore and high-end color correctors that were recommended in that article, as well as a few other color correctors that have gotten some rave reviews. This will be a real head-to-head battle to determine which color corrector really does do the best job of dealing with our under eye darkness on our mature skin. If this is your first visit to this channel, welcome. Here you'll find videos that feature makeup tips, techniques, and products that work especially well on my clients with mature skin, as well as on my own mature skin. I launched a career as a makeup artist to specifically help those of us over 50 feel celebrated and supported and look like the very best version of ourselves. That's because the products and techniques that may have looked glorious on us in our 20s and 30s may not be the best products and techniques to enhance our beauty now. We also occasionally dive into the fields of fashion and health and wellness. Well, for years, most of us heard that the way to hide under eye dark circles was to apply a slightly lighter shade of concealer over that area. And although a lighter concealer applied just on its own can certainly cover, however, it can definitely leave a grayish cast or shadow under our eyes, so it's only partially effective in covering dark circles. That's why we need to apply a color corrector first. Since those dark circles usually have a blue or purple cast to them, to cover them most effectively, we need to apply a color corrector in a complementary color to blue and purple, because that will cancel out the darkness. As you can see on this color wheel, the complementary colors on the color wheel that are opposite blue and purple, and therefore the colors that will cancel out these blue and purple shades the best, are peach and orange. Since I have a light skin tone, I would use a light peach shade. Those of you with a medium skin tone will want to go with a medium peach shade, and if you have a deeper skin tone, go with a shade of orange. In addition to determining which corrector most effectively covers the dark circles, there are three other important considerations we need to keep in mind in order to find the best color corrector for mature skin. First, we want a color corrector that's not drying on our skin. Second, we want a color corrector that's not too thick or cakey looking, but which is thick enough to provide enough coverage. And third, we want a color corrector that has some brightening properties. That's because a brightener uses light reflecting particles to diffuse the darkness under the eyes, which makes the area appear brighter by bouncing light off the skin, rather than just covering it with heavy pigmentation. But let's be real, no product is going to totally cover our dark circles, but some will definitely do a better job than others. And correctors can be especially helpful if we have bags or hollows under our eyes like I do, because those create more darkness. Now, let's get this showdown rolling. After I test each of the 8 color correctors, I'll apply my Kosas concealer in the shade 1.5 over it, which is about 1 shade lighter than the concealer that I use on the rest of my face. And then I'll apply a tap of powder to prevent the concealer from creasing. I'll apply a different color corrector to each eye, and then we'll compare 2 at a time. First up are 4 drugstore products. The Catrice Under Eye Brightener costs $6, and it's described as visibly balancing out the bluish tones of dark circles and giving the complexion a radiant glow. This concealer cream is specifically developed for the under eye area with a formula that includes hyaluronic acid and shea butter, which nourishes the skin. It's described as being a blendable cream texture that is brightening and which neutralizes dark circles. It's also cruelty-free and vegan. And I should let you know that Catrice is headquartered in Europe, which means that all of their products adhere to the high quality standards which are set by the EU cosmetics regulations. These regulations restrict over 1,500 ingredients from being used in beauty products. The US, on the other hand, just restricts 11. Catrice has also banned an additional 60 plus ingredients that they deem to be unacceptable. Well, let's go ahead and give it a try on my left eye. This is definitely a very creamy consistency, And as you see, I'm going to apply it just in the area where I have those shadows and darkness that are bluish and purplish in tone. Then I'm just going to pat it in with my finger, and that really helps melt it into the skin. And the color of this is definitely a pinkish tone. Then over it, I'm going to tap in my Kosas concealer, and this definitely goes under the whole under eye area. And I'm tapping and not rubbing because I really don't want to disturb that corrector underneath. And the powder I'm using is from Makeup by Mario, and it's in Fair Pink. Although as you can see, it's not a really bright or deep pink tone. It's a very light tone. And I'm just going to pat powder over this so I don't get creasing. Are you seeing any difference between my two eyes? This is the Catrice Corrector with the Kosas concealer over it and then a little bit of powder. I would describe this corrector as very creamy. It has what I would call a medium thickness, not extremely lightweight, and it does seem to be very moisturizing. Definitely not the least bit cakey. Next is the e.l.f. Camo Corrector. This costs $4 and comes in 4 different shades: yellow, green, peach, orange, and blue. But the shade we're focusing on for under eye correcting is the peach shade. And there is quite a bit of difference in color between these two correctors. The e.l.f. is very much a peach shade. Since this doe foot applicator is very thin, I'm going to use this to dot it on. And again, it's going to go just in the hollow where I have the darkness and the bluish purple. Pat it in with my finger. As you can see, this really is looking like a deep peach on my skin. It may be too dark a color for me, but this is the lightest peach shade they have in this corrector. Over it, I'm going to apply the Kosas concealer and just tap that in. Most of these concealers I have not tried, so I'm going to be really interested to see what comes out the winner. And maybe there's not going to be that much difference between any of them. We'll see. Now we'll just press in some powder. According to the information on the website, this peach shade camouflages dark spots and darkness under the eyes for those of us with fair to medium skin tones. If you have a tan to a rich skin tone, the best shade to use is orange. It's described as a long-lasting lightweight formula that layers flawlessly under foundations and concealers without caking or creasing. It's also described as working for oily, normal, dry, and combination skin. It does definitely feel very lightweight to apply, and it is very creamy feeling, not the least bit thick or heavy or cakey looking. I don't know if I'd term it brightening, however. Well, looking at this, I think I am seeing quite a bit of difference between these two, but let's take a real close-up look so you can get a good look. This is the Catrice side, and this is the e.l.f. Corrector side. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove the color correctors from both my eyes, and we'll try the last 2 drugstore correctors. And at the end of the video, I'll put up photos of each of the correctors so we can look at them all next to each other. Remove everything from under my eyes, and I'm using my favorite remover, which is Bioderma Micellar Water. The reason I like this so much is it's extremely gentle, and it does a great job of really removing makeup. I always use this as a first of a double cleansing routine on my skin. I'll use the micellar water to get off the first layer of makeup, and then use my regular cleanser, which is my Tatcha Rice Wash, to get off the rest of it. And by the way, when I was doing my makeup, I did not put foundation up under my eyes. And I tend to avoid doing that because it just is an extra layer of makeup, which can cause some cakiness. The e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer costs $7, comes in 25 shades, including a light peach and a medium peach. This is a hydrated concealer that provides crease-resistant full coverage with a blendable satin finish. It has a larger doe foot applicator and is good for oily, dry, and combination skin. It's also cruelty-free and vegan. Now, because this is a concealer, it does provide really good coverage under that under eye area, and it does go on creamy, and it is pretty moisturizing. In fact, e.l.f. does have another concealer that's not called a hydrating camo concealer, just a regular camo concealer. And as you can see, this is a very light peach color. And this will go under my left eye. And I'm going to add just a little bit more because frankly I'm running out of this concealer, so I think I better hightail it over to Ulta and get another one. And next comes the Kosas concealer. And a tap of powder comes next. Now, as I mentioned, it is a little bit thicker, but it's not the least bit cakey. It is creamy and it is moisturizing. I am pretty impressed by how this is looking, but let's go ahead and test the last of the 4 drugstore products. And it happens to be the newest drugstore entry into the under eye corrector field that I have. It's from NYX and it's their NYX Pro Fix Sticks. And here's a swatch of the NYX product underneath the e.l.f. Camo Concealer. As you can see, the NYX product is definitely pink. These sticks are described as correcting, concealing, and brightening, and they do it with just one swipe. There are a total of 18 complexion shades and 6 color correctors for each skin tone. They're also described as crease resistant and medium coverage with a natural finish. They're infused with hyaluronic acid so they can glide on and never feel drying. In addition, they're vegan and cruelty free. The pink shade is for brightening and concealing discoloration on fair to medium skin tones, which is what I have. The yellow brightens and conceals discoloration on fair to light skin tones. The dark peach brightens and conceals discoloration on medium to deep skin tones. I'm going to go ahead and apply this one on my right eye, followed by my Kosas concealer and a light touch of powder to prevent creasing. Because this applicator is slanted, I can really get a nice detailed application and don't have to use a separate brush. So here we go on my right eye. And we'll pat that in too. Now this definitely doesn't feel as creamy as the other ones that I've used, but on the other hand, it doesn't feel cakey at all. It's kind of an unusual texture. It blends well, but it's not thin. And now we'll go with the Kosas concealer under it, followed by just a tap of powder. Now this one doesn't feel particularly moisturizing, but it also doesn't seem to be looking drying on my skin. But let's do a close-up of both eyes. This is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer on my left eye, and this is the NYX Pro Fix Stick on the right. Now I'll remove both and we'll move on to the high-end products. But before we do, I hope you'll tap that thumbs up symbol if you're finding today's video helpful. And please also subscribe if you haven't already done so. I would greatly appreciate it. First up, for the high-end products are the 2 brightening products. And one of them is an OG product which has been around for years. In fact, when the brand Becca folded, Smashbox added this product to their collection since it had been so very popular. It's the Smashbox Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector. On the website, it's described as a full coverage color corrector that uses light to brighten dark under eye circles. It's vegan and cruelty free, and they've now expanded the shade range so it comes in fair light, which is what I use, and medium, medium dark, and dark. I'll apply this on my left eye and then go ahead applying a little bit of my Kosas concealer and some powder. This is one I definitely have to go in with a brush to apply. This is probably the thickest consistency of any of the products that I've tried, but it does blend very easily, and we'll see if it looks cakey at all. And here's the Kosas. And to prevent creasing, we'll apply a little bit of powder. Now I have to say this does feel a little bit heavier than most of the other products, but it did apply very easily and blend in easily. And it did feel like it had a moisturizing quality as well. The other high-end under eye brightening product is from the clean beauty brand Doll 10. This one definitely has the pink cast to it. Now this is really interesting because the Doll 10 product, which is the one that's next to my finger, is almost exactly the same color as the Becca product, and the Becca product is right above it. And again, I'll use a brush to dab this one in. Now as I apply it, it definitely looks a brighter pink than the Becca product did, and it does feel actually a little bit creamier than the Becca product. And it really is blending in easily. I mean, it's almost like it's melting into my skin. Wow, that is a really interesting formula. And now let's go with the Kosas over it. As you can see, the Kosas has a brightening effect, which is also helpful in disguising those dark circles. And that's one of the reasons why I think this Kosas concealer is a wonderful one for under the eyes especially. The Doll 10 product is described as brightening the appearance of under eye dark circles while airbrushing the appearance of fine lines and imperfections. And it also provides a hint of subtle radiance. It's formulated with concentrated pigments that feel weightless while providing buildable medium coverage. And I definitely concur with all of those statements. As I look at my two eyes, I feel like the fine lines are covered better with this Doll 10 product. As I mentioned, it really melted into the skin and applied so easily. It's extremely creamy and moisturizing. Now, let's compare both eyes. This is the Becca Smashbox product on the left eye and the Doll 10 on the right eye. Now, just looking in my mirror right now, it does look to me like the Doll 10 product does a better job of covering that dark area and adding some brightness. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these two color correctors and we'll move on to the last two products, which are high-end products. The two final high-end products are NARS Radiant Creamy Color Corrector and the Bobbi Brown Corrector. And these two products both are brand new, not used them at all. And there's a big difference in consistency between these two products, as you can see. The NARS product on top is a liquid and the Bobbi Brown product underneath it is a cream. The NARS product sells for $30 and is described as diminishing the look of under eye circles, dark spots, and hyperpigmentation with a custom blend of red tone pigments that neutralize blue and purple toned imperfections. It's a lightweight formula that dries down quickly. It comes in 4 shades: light, medium, medium deep, and dark. The website information also states that this product may separate, which is normal, and it doesn't affect the performance. It's also described as layering seamlessly, increasing hydration, being crease resistant and sweat proof, and has a custom brush applicator that precisely deposits formula to target small areas of concern. Let's go ahead and check it out. Since this NARS concealer has a very thin applicator, I can very precisely apply it. And this definitely has a deeper peach cast to it, very similar to the e.l.f. corrector that I used earlier. Now, it did blend in easily, but even though it's a liquid, it doesn't seem as moisturizing as some of the other products. But let's apply some of the Kosas concealer over it. Trying to apply the same amount of the Kosas concealer, the same number of taps. I think my under eyes are going to thank me when I'm done. They're getting a workout. A light tapping of powder. I'm definitely feeling that this left eye is a little bit drier than it's felt before when I've applied some of the other correctors and then the Kosas and the powder, but it is looking pretty good. This will be an interesting comparison with the Bobbi Brown Cream Corrector. The Bobbi Brown Under Eye Color Corrector is $35, and it comes in 12 shades. It's described as a full coverage under eye corrector that neutralizes discoloration and also brightens, and which blends in seamlessly. The description also says that it covers the most stubborn dark circles and is waterproof and sweat and humidity resistant. Now, I have heard some people mention that this product can be drying despite its claim of hydration. So this will be interesting to see if it works well on my drier, mature skin. This definitely feels thicker than some of the other ones. It's not quite as blendable, but it's an interesting tone. It's a sort of a light peach pink combination. And actually the color is called light bisque, so that makes sense. It's a really good match for my skin. And it does not feel drying, at least at this point. Of course, the real test of that is how it feels later on in the day. And now let's pat on my Kosas concealer. This is a little bit harder to blend in the Kosas concealer just because I think the Bobbi Brown corrector is a little bit thicker, but I'm not seeing any cakiness. And we'll tap on some powder. Wow, I am definitely seeing a difference between these two. I'm wondering if you are. I frankly think that they nailed it with the color. And because there's so many more color choices with this formula, this could be a factor really in how it works for you. Now let's compare my left eye with the NARS product on the under eye area and the right eye with the Bobbi Brown corrector under the eye. All right, we've completed testing our 8 products, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on which color corrector did the very best job of covering up my under eye darkness. Here is a look at all of them. Even with all the color correctors we've tried today, there are still others that I've seen recommended that we have not tested. These include Revolution's Conceal and Correct, which is $7, and 3 high-end color correctors. Tarte's Colored Clay CC Under Eye Corrector, which is $30, Charlotte Tilbury's Color Corrector, which is $32, and the highest rated corrector in the article by InStyle Editors, which is the most expensive one by far. It's $39, and it's Givenchy's Prisme Libre Color Corrector. Since the Givenchy corrector was the highest rated one by InStyle Editors, I really wanted to try it, but quite honestly, I just couldn't bring myself to spend $39 on one rather small color correcting product. But if you've tried any of these other color correctors that we didn't try today, please do let us know your thoughts on them in the comment section below. I look forward to hearing your opinions on which of the color correctors we did try today did the very best job of covering up my very dark under eye areas. Besides dealing with dark circles under our eyes, one other makeup challenge for many of us with mature skin is eyeliner. So if you'd like to see the best and easiest eyeliner techniques and products for mature eyes demonstrated, be sure to check out this video. I've pinned a link to it in the comment section below, and you'll also find a link to it in the description box, along with links to all of the products that we've talked about today. Until we see each other next time, I wish you good health and happiness and hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Take care.